To understand the falsity or the illusion of time, we need to first observe that there is absolute continuity. Why there is absolute continuity? To understand that, we need to observe another fact, that without continuity, there won't be any transformation, like transformation from one state of an object to another state, like from ice, which is a solid state, to the water, which is a liquid state, right? So we term this phenomena, that is change from one state to another, as a change. The concept of change is introduced by us. But look very carefully that one state of an object is getting transformed into something else. So if these two states are not connected, then how the transformation will take place? Just observe, try to grasp this simple fact. We are conditioned to think very complex ideas without observing the simple fact, and all the complex ideas, the explanations, all those are borrowed from some second-hand ideas from someone else's, or those are superimposed or introduced by us. So forget about all the explanations. Just look at a simple observation, that when one state is transformed into another, the simple one which we all know is the ice melting to water. If these two states are not interconnected with each other, then the transformation won't take place. The ice will remain as ice forever, and the water will remain as water forever, right? And if there is any connection, the connection is there. So if there is any connection, that means there is a continuity between these two states, the ice and the water. I'm just considering this particular transformation. We will go deep what continuity is. So if there is continuity, that means there is connection, then these two things, which we call as two different states, one is ice, another is water, they cannot be different at all. Because between different things, there won't be any connection. There will be a gap, you see. And since they are transforming, interchanging between each other, that's why there is a connection. And if there is a connection, it implies continuity, and if there is continuity, that means they are not different, they are same. This is a plain fact. And if they are same, then this illusion of a change is being taking place is false. Definitely it's false, and we introduced this phenomena as a process of change. So this is a simple fact. This we need to understand if we really want to know the falsity about the time. So, which means that there is something that is happening, but we don't know what it is. We are telling it, or we are objectifying, or we are explaining this fact by change, by naming it as a process of being, transformation or change, whatever. This is not a change. Nothing is getting changed here. We don't know what is happening, but one thing is getting transformed into other, and this won't be possible if they are not connected. If they are connected, that means there is a continuity. If there is continuity, these two are not different things, they are same. And this whole illusion of that something is changing all the time, that is an illusion. And we need to see that, we need to observe that. Why we are having this discussion at all? To know who we are. If you are not at all interested, then it's okay. But if you are really, really interested to know who you are, because we have very limited time in our life, then we should focus on this discussion. Okay, so the last point of this slide is change is basically a concept which we projected on the existence, because we are bound to observe multiplicity of colors, of tastes, touch, sensations, smell, sound, and they are interconverting all the time. We say they're interconverting because that is also our projection, our idea, but we don't know what is happening. But definitely they are not interchanging, because change the change will be possible if they are connected. And if they are connected, the two things which are getting interchanged, they are identical. Otherwise there won't be any change from one state to other state. You see the thing. So this is very crucial to know. We will go deep into this phenomenon. Okay, so let's go to the second slide. So there is absolute continuity, and there is also the illusion of discontinuity. Both these things are there. So when the philosopher becomes the witness, he clearly sees the absolute continuity throughout the existence. But when he is in the state of philosopher, that is, he wants to explain all the different discontinuities objectified as different actions or incident taking place, there is the illusion of discontinuity, and he desperately tries to explain all these things, because that's the whole purpose. I mean, we cannot just, I mean, the nature of the human being is to explain things that is going on surrounding him or her, right? And then comes the concept of different actions that is objectified by us, which we just discussed. And whenever there is discontinuity, and that discontinuity produces different the concepts of different actions, that is, someone took birth, he grows up, and then he dies. Some object is being formed from some material, it stays for some days, then it perishes to something else. So there is the concept of getting produced, remaining for few minutes or few hours, and then decaying, getting produced, remaining for some time, and then getting perished. So there is automatically a window comes of an illusion that there is a process taking place, creation of something and then destruction, creation of something and then destruction. And we are helpless but to limit this creation and the destruction, creation and the destruction, right? So this brings the concept of beginning of something and end of something, and in between we are bound to objectify as a process taking place. And when we are in illusion that a process is taking place, we always want to keep track of that process. It's, I mean, whenever someone will be in illusion, he don't know what's happening, there will be definitely the illusion of something is taking place from the beginning to the end, from the beginning to the end. All the things that we observe are happening within us or outside our body. So the concept of the beginning and the end creates the desire to keep track of that process. And then comes the concept of the time. There is nothing called time. We project to keep track. We project an idea which will basically keep track of this illusion, which is a process is taking place from beginning to the end, from beginning to the end. You see? Okay, let's go to the second slide. Sorry, third slide. So before we deep dive into the whole understanding of knowing a false concept, which is time, that is introduced by us, let us first understand what are not introduced by us, but we feel as a fact. So here you see the pictures of different species. So there is me, and also there are two poor children who are hungry all the time, and they don't have nobody who will feed them, so they are begging in the street. There is the dogs who are also helpless, but to survive on others' help. There is a tree who is begging us to not hack them down. There are cows and chickens who became the dish of our everyday meal. So the fact of this thing of this all of us is that we born, then we grow, and then we perish. right? So we take birth from two different person, or from two different living beings, our father and mother. Then we grow, our body grows up, then our body perishes. And in between, so this is a window, the illusion of an action that is we call from birth to death. We call this portion as individual life, right? We are helpless but to assign it, because we don't realize what actually is happening. If someone clearly understands that there is absolute continuity, then he is free from all this birth and death nonsense. But most of us don't know, and they are bound to feel this fear of losing the life, and the suffering from not having the desired enjoyments, and also the feeling of pain when we are getting tortured by someone else. We feel the pain, and this is same for all of us. So this is universal, right? This is not like we are projecting. This is there. This is a fact. Fact for whom? Fact for those people or those species who didn't realize that there is absolute continuity. So they are bound to 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 be in the misery, in the sadness, in the suffering state. Make that very, very clear. This suffering, this born, perish, and grow, all these are concepts introduced by us. But when people don't realize that they are introduced by us, they feel those are real, and they are helpless but to suffer, because they're thinking that their time is up, their time is up, their time is up. You see what I mean? So this is a fact for people, or for most of the living being, who don't know that there is absolute continuity. Okay, next slide. So this is a fact. And then comes the journey of human beings to explain everything that he or she observes in the surrounding. So we always want to explain the phenomena that we observe surrounding us, although they are unexplainable. But we have the feeling all the time that there is me, there is me who is interacting with the universe. So I must know what universe is, which is unknowable. So in order to put meaning, or to explain everything, we introduce the concepts that is either in us, inside us, or we believe. Either in us means we took from someone else's as a second-hand beliefs, uh, or we believe in some scientists or philosophers. Mostly we are all beliefs, that this is that, this is this is that thing. Very few of us wants to know what is going on outside. Forget about inside, who we are, kind of thing. But most of us, philosophers, the scientists, they try to explain what is happening outside, all those actions, the colors, the sun, the different stars, the smell, taste, touch, etc. Because our sense organs are always outbound, and this actually is the reason for engaging all the time with the universe in the waking state, and our main interest grows up to know the universe more than to know who we are actually. So yeah, so these what we just discussed summarize these three points. So then comes the introduction to explain the universe. Then comes the need for different frame of references, different models, causes to explain the effects, etc. And everything that is introduced by us is bound to be false, because they are introduced as an explanation, as a thought, as a belief, whatever. You see what I mean? This is pure observation. We see this is something, and then comes the belief that this is my hand, because someone told me. This is the belief. But the fact that I'm helpless to observe is when I hit with something to my hand, I will feel the pain. That's something else. So pain is the thing that I'm feeling. I'm calling it as a pain. I don't know what it is. You see the subtle difference? So everything we objectified. This is my body, this is the pain, this is this is that. Uh, but objectification is impossible because there is absolute continuity. Think, you don't think, pay attention, just observe the discussion that we are having right now. Pause the video, take a few minutes to grasp what is going on here, because this is very, very important. No one else will go this deep. Okay. So then comes the falsity of all explanations that just we discussed, that anything introduced, a thought or explanation, a frame of reference, are bound to be false, right? There is no debate with that. It's absolutely false because it is introduced by us. Okay, okay. So, but this is not false, that we all grow. I mean, for most of us who don't know who are not the witness, or who don't know the reality, for all of us, we feel that there is a process called life, the individual span of life from birth to death, and then the pain, the suffering of not fulfilling of desires, and definitely afraid of losing the life. So these are facts for most of us. There is no denial of that. But the frames or the models or the causes, these are like absolutely false because they are introduced. We don't feel them, right? Observe this difference of something that is absolutely false and something that is false, but we still feel them. There is continuity. There is no birth, no death, nothing at all. But we still feel it, right? That's something that is within us, very deep. But these different models, the polar coordinates, the Cartesian coordinates, the different theories, all those are explanations, which is either derivatives of borrowed second-hand ideas, or they are imagined, or whatever. I mean, they are introduced, right? So they has to be false, absolutely false. Okay, there is no there is no something which is false is absolutely false. Okay, so next, go to the next slide. So let's go deep. What is continuities? And these are pure facts that we are going to see. No assumption, no beliefs or nothing. Just paying little bit of observation to the discussion that we are going through right now. So this is the solid state of water, which is ice. We are explaining it as an ice, with a name, with a shape. You see, this is objectified by us as ice, but this is pure action. We don't know what the object is. We say this is an object which is interacting with light to produce this white color. What we perceive is the color, the coldness of the when we touch it, the the smooth surface of the ice, etc., etc. All the sense perceptions we perceive, but we objectify it as ice, right? And we think that the object is interacting with energy, which is also unknowable, and we introduce the concept of energy, which is interacting with the object to produce this white color with a solid texture called the solid ice. So energy is unknowable, object is unknowable. Only we can perceive the actions, that is the color, taste, smell, touch, and sound, but they are unexplainable. Any explanation is superimposition, which will require further superimposition of different frame of references, different cause, uh, different proposals or hypotheses. You see it? What we observe is the sense perceptions. There is no discontinuity, there is only continuity. But because we perceive different colors, different touches, etc., we have this urge to objectify everything. But when one sees that there is this impossibility of discontinuity, then he realizes, and this ever evolving state of witness. So let's see, when we have this transition from solid ice to the liquid water, this is also an object objectified by us as water, which is a liquid form. And then if we further provides energy, we don't know what it is, right? But we call it as energy. How we are supplying the energy? By creating fire or from other sorts of action. One action, let's say we heat up the water to boil to produce the vapor, right? So what we are producing here, what we are producing, we don't know. We call it as energy, thermal energy. But what we create to produce or to transfer this energy is fire, which is the plasma form, right? So we are creating an action which is supplying something to another action to produce another action. We are creating fire, which we think transferring the heat or as thermal energy. Then this liquid is getting transformed into the vapor. So one action transferring something to another action, that action is then getting transformed into another action. And in between, we think there is something is going, definitely there is something is going on, and we think that this is energy, but we don't know what it is. We don't know what it is, but we're giving a term as energy. So this is an unknowable entity. Okay, so if we further increase the energy, the gas will be transformed into the plasma state. So what is the plasma state? In the plasma state, the water will be no more in the water form. It will be in hydrogen elemental form or atomic state, and oxygen elemental form or atomic state, because there will be excessive heat. So it will break, some portion of it will break to produce hydrogen and oxygen, and these two will absorb energy. And after absorption, there will be emission. Absorption followed by emission, this produces this particular color. Understand, that is also an explanation given by us, but to know anything which is false, we need to use another false. This is very simple as that. So this is the plasma state, and if you further increase the energy, these hydrogens or oxygen will disintegrate into the constituent subatomic particles. Increasing further energy will break them, and this breaking process will continue until we reach the space. That is when the energy is at infinite amount. That is the infinite unknowable, because we don't know what is energy. So space is that thing which we termed as energy, and space is literally the infinite amount of that. Okay, and which we objectify it as space, because we objectify our numerical system from 1 to 9, but no numerical we designate as 0. So just the same thing is applied with space. Space is energy which we cannot perceive, but we designate is as object, just like we use the symbol 0 for no numericals. You see, this is the pure observation, nothing a big deal. So space means when there will be no actions. So from solid to plasma, these are all actions because we can perceive them, right? The plasma, we can feel the color. For vapor or for gas, we don't see it. I just got this image to show you that this is a vapor, but pure gas form doesn't have any color, but we can feel them when they touches our skin through our organ of touch. We can know them that these are there. And there is a liquid, the solid. All of them can have color, different touch sensations, but space is literally we cannot perceive the space as an object. But not perceiving anything is still an object, right? Just we discussed like the 0, exactly like that. This is space, and that is how we objectified space. So space is basically infinite amount of unknowable, because energy is unknowable. And also the object that we also know that this, we observe that the object is also is unknowable. So from solid, which was an object, transformed into liquid, that is also the object. Gas is also the object. Plasma is also the object. And then in the space, that unknowable object is also there. So space is having the two unknowable entities. One is the energy that is unknowable, then comes the object itself, because what we perceive is actions, right? So space literally is infinite amount of unknowable, and then comes the ability to observe, that is the consciousness, that is the sense organs, the mind, right? So there is also the consciousness. So none of them can be consciousness, right? Because they are actions, and we discussed before that anything that is perceivable or observable is ever changing, and any ever changing phenomena is action, and whatever is changing cannot produce anything which is ever unchanged, that is a consciousness. So but that is also unknowable, because that is knowing these all these things, right? So space literally contains three unknowables: the consciousness, the object, the energy, right? But today's discussion, we just saw that there is nothing called changes. Change is an introduced concept, right? So there is nothing happening which we can call as change, because there is only continuity, right? So what we call as change is not change at all. So there remains only one thing, that is the consciousness, pure consciousness, with the awareness. And whenever there will be awareness, there will be desire. So this slide, forget about this. This is really really deep thing we will discuss later. But today, just this slide I'm just presenting to give you a little bit of glimpse of what consciousness is. I mean, what's the what's the uh, what's the what is the ability to observe? I mean, what's consciousness, and why, how it is different than the actions that we are perceiving, and whether there is any difference at all, what we are perceiving and by which we are perceiving, right? Because there is no change, there is only the observability, that is the pure consciousness. That's really really deep discussion. If you fall into this trap right now, you will be really in that difficult situation. So let's go step by step. This slide is just to poke you up. Okay. So then comes another example of continuity, that is interactions with different states. So what we saw is for water, but there are different states of different substances interacting with each other, like mixing of sugar in water. So sugar is solid, which is getting soluble in water. So a solid is interacting with a liquid to form another liquid state. Then again, different chemical reactions are happening like that. All different objects which we objectified as sugar, as milk, as air, as you name it, all those things, they're also interacting with different states of different objects. So everything is interacting with everything. What does that mean? That means the continuity is further verified, that it's absolutely continuous, everything. Because since they can interact with each other, that means they're not different or separate from each other. It's the only one unity that is there. But we have this illusion that there is discontinuity based on our different sense perceptions, right? So there is absolute continuity, as we have discussed previously and also in this particular slide. Without continuity, there won't be any interaction. Without continuity, there won't be any change. And if something is changing from one state to another, then they are identical because they are connected. And if they are connected, that is continuous. So the concept of change is basically false. That is introduced by us because we are not knowing what is happening. You see the point? Please try to observe. Okay. So what we just saw is that solid is transforming into liquid to gas to plasma and then finally to space. So these five represents the principal objects that we objectified based on our sense perceptions, and they constitute the whole universe that we perceive by our sense organs, right? And these states are interchangeable. So for a particular substance called water, these states are interchangeable. So that is, they are perfectly continuous, and also water can interact with other substances. That interaction is also possible because there is perfect or absolute continuity. Make it very, very clear. And also, in another term or much more simplified way, we can see that there is a birth, growth, and death for all the objects, right? Anything. So this from birth to death, which brings the concept the beginning and the end, the beginning and the end. So if I take my example, so this body basically took birth from my father and my mother. Then from tiny object it grew up, and then it will disintegrate slowly to something else one day. So this whole window from uh, from taking birth to the death, this time window, we think that uh, we are going through some process, right? Because we are seeing that I was very small one day, then I grew up, now I'm 6 feet tall, then I'll be dead one day. So this is a whole spectrum of change. But just if you be logical little bit or just observe, then you will see that this very transformation from birth to death is possible because there is absolute continuity. And if there is absolute continuity, there is no change at all. But we we project the concept of change because we are seeing that something is getting changed into something else constantly all around us. Something is getting changed into something, but we never pay attention that this change or this transformation is impossible if there is no connection from one state to another. And if there is connection, then these two has to be same. That represents the continuity. And if they're same, that means the very objectifying of this concept or projecting this idea of change is absolutely false. Okay, this is plain simple thing to pay attention, little bit of attention. So another generalization is that anything with a shape and name is taking birth from something else and then disintegrating to something else. For all the objects that we see, it can be our body because our body is also object to us. Okay, another interesting thing, our eyes, ears, those are not the sense organs we have discussed previously. So that we also need to make very, very clear. We are not the brains because we use our brain. So that's also another thing. So right now, what we observe that we don't know about this absolute continuity, and we are helpless but to assign the beginning and the end concept for all the objects, and that introduces the idea of keeping track of all this lifetime of all objects, and that basically brings the concept of time, keeping track of all the different actions or different transformations. So we devised different ways of keeping track of all these actions. built-in devices that will be able to keep track of that. We created the day, the concept of month, year, etc. Right? So this is how the concept of time actually uh, has been built by us or projected by us. So there is absolute continuity. There is absolute continuity because we are not believing that there is absolute continuity, because we can observe that there is changes, and because we observe that something is beginning and something is ending. This is not believing, right? This is a process, beginning and end. And this beginning and end is possible because they are connected. So something which began in a particular time in space, and something which is ending in a particular time in space, they has to be connected, otherwise there will be no beginning and no end, you see. And if they are connected, that means there is a continuity. And if there is a continuity, these two are not different, these two are same. If they are not same, they cannot be transformed into one state from another. Okay, it will take time, but just dwell on this observation. Don't just ignore this. And that illusion of beginning and end basically led us to keep track of all the processes of beginning and end. And we devised different ways of keeping track of all the actions, or all the processes of transformation, or processes of enjoyment, etc. So this is how we can observe that the very falsity of time by just paying attention that there is absolute continuity. Without continuity, there won't be any change, because changing needs from going one state to other, and from going one state to other requires the connection. If they are connected, that means there is a continuity. And if there is continuity, then what we are calling as a change is not change at all. That's an illusion. Please try to understand. Okay, so time is false, absolutely false, and any theory which is incorporating the concept of time is bound to be false. But those can be useful for people who still believe the concept of time, or who who don't know about the continuity. For them it can be useful for what? Useful for one day maybe they will realize the very falsity of time, and then they will know who they are actually. Because you need to see, or you need to observe all the falseness, then the truth will reveal. uh, yeah, this is the process of the self knowledge. So what's the point of proving everything is false, or what will happen after this? What benefit will happen? So when we will know that all the concepts, all the beliefs are actually false, then there will be no greed for any benefit or anything. That's a state of liberation. So in that state, what one does is basically try to help others, that there are nothing called that these things that you believed as true, or uh, you believed as the thing that happens, they are basically false, because they don't know that, and they are groping in the darkness with the belief that one day they will be fulfilled by all the desires that they want to fulfill. But it's not gonna happen, because only one who has become the witness, he will realize that There is absolute continuity and everything is false. But they don't know that everything is false, so they are still in suffering. And to remove their suffering, we should help them. Uh, we should help them by using all the information that we have. We will know that they are false, but we can use those false informations or that falsity to help them to know that, look, these are false. And by doing that, they will understand the reality. We can take care of their health, we can take care of their all needs in order to help them. So that's the main purpose of knowing that all our explanations are false. And after knowing that, use those resources, those knowledges to help them, to protect all the other animals,